This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Schomler. This is Strong Opinion Sports, episode 622. Welcome in. It feels weird to not acknowledge I had an absolutely awful day, all-time bad. It is the week of my brother's birthday. Yes, the one who's dead. I also had I worked 12 hours today, plumbing. We had a problem go wrong on my last job. It was just it's been a tough week already, and really, really horrible Tuesday for your boy, Zach. I feel like I can't push back recording till Wednesday because I can't have the show come out Thursday morning. But life happens sometimes. We all struggle. We all go through tough stuff. I'm struggling a little bit right now. And I'm actually really excited to talk about football, my favorite thing, and get away from a little distraction from the rest of life right now. Before we do anything, though, I got to tell you about today's sponsor. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Prize Picks allows you to make an entry based on player projections, and in 60 seconds, you can enter something like George Kittle less than 5 catches, A.J. Brown more than 100 yards receiving, and Jordan Love more than 2 interceptions. If your picks are right, you can win money. Making picks makes watching games more engaging, and you could turn something like $5 into $50. Prize Picks offers quick and easy deposits. You can even use Apple Pay, and they have weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts. For example, there's a weekly event called Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So put your skills to the test in daily fantasy. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. All right. Let's talk about NFL Week 14. First of all, there were 2 teams that did not play this week at all. Arizona and Washington did not play. And someone wrote in about Washington on Patreon saying their team can do nothing right. I haven't read the question yet. It's one of the only ones I was scrolling through, are there any new questions today? That one popped up. I don't know how he found a way to talk about the Washington Commanders on a week where they didn't even play, but that'll be interesting for later in the show. Let's talk about Thursday Night Football, though. On Thursday Night Football this week, during NFL Week 14, I was really surprised. I thought this was going to be an awful, low-scoring, horrible game. It wasn't horrible. In fact, Bailey Zappi, the backup quarterback, who I guess we would now call the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots, threw 3 touchdown passes and actually did fairly well. And it's shocking. The Steelers are now 7-6, 7 wins, 6 losses. They are edging closer and closer to having Mike Tomlin not have a winning season for the first time in his history as a head coach, which would be something I predicted a while ago, but would be very fascinating and interesting to see how people change the conversation about Mike Tomlin. I think, if I'm correct, I think I saw a stat today that Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in the time that Tom Brady, who is now retired, has won multiple Super Bowls. It's been a long, long time. We hang on to this low-hanging fruit. He hasn't had a losing season in a long time. Sure, but what has Mike Tomlin actually accomplished recently? Right? Is he winning lots of playoff games and making big stretches and doing good stuff? I don't see a big playoff push every year for Mike Tomlin. And this winning season every year is impressive. It has to be. But it's also, the bar is pretty low. If that's all you're aiming for every year, let's just not have a losing season. After a while, you go, can we get more, though? Can we win a playoff game? Can we, have a great year where we feel like we're Super Bowl contenders rather than, oh, wow, at least we weren't awful this year. Thank goodness. I think the Steelers have that kind of a problem where they're mediocre, man. That's the reality. And I love Mike Tomlin. I think he'd be an awesome guy to work for and play for. Seems like a good dude who runs a really good organization. But at some point, we got to ask for more than just, hey, don't have a losing season. That's all I'm saying. I will say, though, again, this game surprised me. 21-18, the Patriots beat Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. I really thought it was going to be like 5-3. Patriots might win with like a safety or something, right? And actually, again, Bailey Zappi played really well, the backup quarterback for the Patriots. Now, I guess, the starting quarterback. And I found out that Bailey Zappi, he's on a rookie contract, so he doesn't make a lot of money, compared to most NFL players. And he was asked, was your family there to watch? Was it really cool? He's like, no, actually, I can't afford to bring my family to a game. That's really expensive. I'm on a rookie contract. I say that to tell you, we saw Jake Browning. Let's now shift gears to the Bengals game. We saw the Bengals win again. The Bengals beat the Colts 34-14. Jake Browning, the guy who went undrafted years ago in 2018, didn't do much for a long time. He started his second ever NFL game and won again. Jake Browning was 18 for 24 passing at 275 yards, 2 touchdown passes, an interception, but also a touchdown run. Jake Browning did it again. I'm really surprised at how well he did. I was hoping for a fun matchup between Gardner Minshew and Jake Browning. Instead, we saw the Bengals win by 20. The Bengals are a 7-win football team and actually have a shot at making a playoff game if Jake Browning keeps playing at a high level, which is shocking and wild and really cool. Now, there's a connection here, though. I talked about Patriots quarterback Bailey Zappi. He couldn't afford to bring his family to the game. It's like, I can't do it. Joe Burrow, the franchise quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, gave Jake Browning's family his box suite for the night. So he could bring his family. They all came, they hung out. That's classy and really cool. And I saw a lot of stuff going around the internet this week of comparisons between the way Deshaun Watson, who's injured and out for the year, is handling his injury compared to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is out for the rest of the year. He can't play. Last I saw, I couldn't even throw a football. But you watch Joe Burrow, when you watch Bengals games, he's on the sideline. He's engaged. He's helping Jake Browning break down coverages on the sideline. He's helping his team do whatever he can to win, even though he can't play. Deshaun Watson is in a press box, removed from everything, disengaged completely, right? I think we already know a lot about Deshaun Watson's character, given the way, given the things we've learned about him off the field is the most unaggressive way to put that. But if you want to learn about Deshaun Watson's leadership and who he is as a person, just watch how he interacts with his team, knowing he can't play the rest of the year. And then compare that to Joe Burrow, who's still finding a way to help his team win games, even while he's not even on the field. I think that's really cool. It says a lot about, I don't know how we made this about Joe Burrow, but Jake Browning, this backup quarterback who I had no expectation. When he became the starting quarterback, I was like, well, Bengals season is over, and not so fast. The Bengals actually have stayed alive. They're in a hunt for a playoff spot. And there's a lot of teams hovering right around 7 wins in the AFC. Cincinnati's one of them. Jake Browning continuing to play well allows Cincinnati to maybe even make a playoff game, which would be, look, to lose Joe Burrow, to be in what I thought was going to be an incredible AFC North and an incredible AFC conference in general, to make a playoff game with Jake Browning, that'd be really cool. And so Jake Browning is becoming one of my favorite stories in the NFL right now. I love when a guy comes out of nowhere and does really well. That's exactly what Jake Browning is doing. It's very cool to see. I love it. I'm rooting for him hard. Now, let's talk about another guy that came out of nowhere, but now has kind of fallen from grace. That would be Joshua Dobbs, the Pastronaut, right? What was the other name people called him? I don't remember. There was some fun nickname people gave him. I don't remember. Josh Dobbs got benched this week. So the Minnesota Vikings beat the Raiders 3-0. 3-0, in case you're keeping track. Not great. We don't love that. It was, no one scored a touchdown. Josh Dobbs was 10 for 23 passing at 63 yards, got sacked 5 times. He ended up getting benched for Nick Mullins. We now know that Nick Mullins will be the starting quarterback next week for Minnesota. So the Josh Dobbs fun little thing appears to be over. And that's sad. I would argue like he never really had a great shot. He came in mid-season. How do you expect a guy who barely knows anyone's names, hasn't spent a year in the system, to come in and just plug in and do great all year? Look, So I don't want to say this reflects poorly on Josh Dobbs, but certainly he came into a tough situation, did the best he could, and it hasn't worked out. So the Josh Dobbs journey, whatever we want to call it, the couple games where he was awesome and surprised and shocked the world, it appears like it's come to an end. In fact, again, he got benched. We'll see if he plays again at all the rest of the year. Minnesota 7-6. They've got a shot at a playoff game. It feels unlikely, but they did survive. They got a field goal in the fourth quarter to win 3-0 against the Raiders in Las Vegas. They won. They kicked a field goal with less than 2 minutes left to win the game. So what a weird, ugly game. Nick Mullins pulls it off. The Josh Dobbs era was fun. I really like him as a person. I'm sad it's over. I think it is over. But the Josh Dobbs flash in the pan, 5 minutes of fame, the couple great games, leads me to Tommy DeVito, the New York Giants quarterback. So the Giants just beat Green Bay 24-22 on Monday Night Football. The New York Giants have won 3 games in a row with Tommy DeVito as their starting quarterback. Tommy DeVito on Monday night was 17 for 21 passing, had 158 yards and a touchdown. He didn't light it up, but he wasn't horrible. Made no crazy mistakes. He actually had a couple really nice throws. What I want to say about Tommy DeVito is, given the amount of times I've seen a backup quarterback come in and have like a couple fun games, Devlin Duck Hodges, Josh Dobbs just this year. There's so many examples throughout my lifetime of a backup quarterback coming in, having a couple of great games, and then never, ever doing it again. This is why people really struggle to embrace Brock Purdy, actually, the 49ers quarterback, who I think has done enough by now. We should probably just accept Brock Purdy's actually really good. Tommy DeVito's not done enough. He's 3-1 as a starter. That's great. That's awesome. He's actually playing better than Daniel Jones played earlier this year, who's supposed to be the franchise quarterback of the Giants. So I don't want to say anything bad about Tommy DeVito. What I want to tell you is it's just way too early to say he's amazing. It's really fun. I don't trust that it's going to continue, but we'll find out. Tommy DeVito is a crazy cool story. And what I also want to say, I don't know if it's people are fully healthy. I don't know what's going on, but the Giants team around Tommy DeVito does appear to be playing better than they did earlier in the year when Daniel Jones was a starting quarterback. I don't know what to do with that information, but it is quite fascinating to me that Tommy DeVito, the backup quarterback, comes in, looks like really competitive, not amazing, but like fun, and the people around him are fighting hard. He ran for like 70 yards on Monday Night Football. Tommy DeVito's doing awesome stuff. The people around him are playing well. I don't know why the Giants didn't play as well around Daniel Jones. That's a question that has to be asked. I don't know what to do with that information again. And I don't know how long this Tommy DeVito thing is going to last. Because again, I've been burned a lot where you get excited about a young backup quarterback. Like, oh, this guy's so much better than, and then you're like, well, then after 5 games, wow, they fall back to earth. I'm waiting for that moment with Tommy DeVito where he does fall back down to earth, but it's really fun. He's an Italian guy. You should look up pictures of his agent. His agent is the most Italian mafia-looking dude I've ever seen. I think his dad owns a plumbing company. Like, they're a good old-fashioned Italian East Coast family. And I got nothing but love for Tommy DeVito. I just don't know emotionally if I can invest in it, knowing that feels like any game now, it could be the end of his fun run, right? I don't know. I'm not looking forward to him doing it again next week because I don't know that he will. But I really like what's been the fun Tommy DeVito 3 games in a row winning. It's been cool. And I'm surprised at how much better the Giants look around at Tommy DeVito. I don't know if that's a leadership thing with he's a better leader who motivates his players more than Daniel Jones. I don't know what it is, but, it's interesting to see. The Packers lost, by the way. The Packers lost by 2 to the Giants. I think Jordan Love, the young quarterback in Green Bay, has been building and getting better and better. This felt like a half step backward compared to the progress he's made so far this year. He was 25 for 39 passing, had 218 yards, a touchdown, an interception, had an early throw on an out route that got missed, and I was like, oh, you got to hit that. You can't. He had a couple throws that got away from him that I'm like, oh, man, I know you're better than that. Don't ever react to what happened with Jordan Love. On Monday Night Football, he didn't play his best and they lost. I think he's still growing and flexing, and every week is going to be, a growing opportunity for him. But Jordan Love, don't panic. He didn't have his best game. He's still trending in the right direction, in my opinion, but this was a half step backward compared to the way he played the last couple weeks against, Gosh, who did they play? They beat the crap out of the Packers on Thanksgiving. He played really well last week against, who was it? Kansas City. That's right. He was fantastic against Kansas City last weekend. I feel good about Jordan Love going in the right direction. But again, this felt like a half step backward for him on Monday Night Football. You know what my favorite story of the weekend, though, was? By far, the thing that really, really excited me. The Cleveland Browns beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-27 this weekend. And Joe Flacco, this 38-year-old veteran quarterback, comes out of retirement, basically. He's now the Browns' starting quarterback. He's 26 for 45 passing, had 311 yards, 3 touchdown passes, had an interception. The question is this: can Joe Flacco, an old, beat-up Joe Flacco, who just looks like he's having the time of his life, he's like, I didn't expect to get another opportunity. I'm going to just have fun with it. I'm going to do the very best I possibly can. And he's certainly doing it. Joe Flacco's got a new lease on life. Can he lead the Cleveland Browns to a Super Bowl? I think he can. I know that's wild to say, but I look around the NFL right now. There's a lot of, I would say, like injured or wounded teams where they're not at full strength. They've got players that are hurt. Their quarterback is out. Like, the AFC is not at all what I thought it was going to be going into the year. The Ravens are probably the best team in the AFC right now. Kansas City's suspect. They've got problems everywhere. The receiving core is not trustworthy. The Jaguars have had really bad moments. They just lost to Cleveland. Miami can appear to beat a really good team. They just had an ugly loss on Monday to Tennessee. The Browns right now are potentially a Super Bowl team, in my opinion. If Joe Flacco plays well, that's a big if. But if he keeps playing well, the roster around Joe Flacco is amazing. I've said this for so long about the Cleveland Browns. All they needed was to not be awful at quarterback, right? They don't even need to be great, I don't think, to win maybe a Super Bowl. I know that's insane. Hear me out. They don't need Joe Flacco to throw 3 touchdowns and 300 yards every week. If he does, that's great. If he throws 2 touchdowns and like 150 yards and manages the game, they're probably still going to win a lot of football games. I think the Browns are the team that right now is the most dark horse Super Bowl team we can even name. I really think that. I know. You're hearing me say that. You're resisting. It's the Cleveland Browns. They're awful. But man, I don't, maybe it's wishful thinking. I don't know. I want to see another Kurt Warner moment, so I definitely is wishful thinking. But I still want to lay the groundwork out there that there's a possibility. I've made a couple predictions recently I feel really good about. I said Cameron Ward can transfer somewhere like LSU or Ohio State and win a Heisman Trophy. You know what's happened since I said that? That was like 2-3 weeks ago. I am now hearing that everywhere. And I'm like, I was the first one to say that. I want to be the first one to say, and I don't intentionally go out of my way to be the first person to say anything. But I really believe this, and I think it's possible that in a couple weeks we could be having the conversation as a nation, maybe, as a football world. Hey, do the Browns have a shot to win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco? Because he's playing really good football. He's having fun. He looks carefree. And the roster around Joe Flacco is unbelievable. I am telling you now, I actually think the Browns are a team to watch that could maybe win a Super Bowl. They can beat Jacksonville. They just did. I know they can beat Kansas City or Miami. I think on their best day, they can beat Baltimore. And then who's left? Can they beat the 49ers? That's a really interesting question, right? 49ers, Browns, that seems like a really interesting game. 49ers, Cowboys, similar conversation. Same with Philly. The 3 best teams in the NFL, in my opinion, are probably the 49ers, the Cowboys, and then Philly or Baltimore. I think it's very possible the Browns are number 5. I know. I could feel the rage and the questioning coming out of the screen to me. I can feel people probably watching going like, what is he talking about? But think about their roster in Cleveland, man. They've got an incredible defense, loaded. Myles Garrett, players everywhere. They've got Kareem Hunt. They've got a good running game. They've got Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, David Njoku. Receivers, offensive linemen, they're great up front on both sides of the football. They keep losing linemen, by the way. Guys keep getting hurt on the offensive line, which I don't love that. But, so Jack Conklin's out, Jedrick Wills is out, DeJuan Jones is out. Like, it's not great on the offensive line. But the Cleveland Browns have something. There's potential, and I think like the coolest story ever this year would be if Joe Flacco came out of retirement and won a Super Bowl with the Cleveland Browns, who, by the way, have to go back to Deshaun Watson at quarterback next year. It would be hilarious and weird and so much fun. And I know that's wishful thinking. I understand that. I'm trying to talk myself into it. But as a guy who loves a good story, that's a great story. That would be unbelievable. Now, Trevor Lawrence in this game, we're still talking about Browns Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence played 6 days after getting a high ankle sprain. I think that's a gutsy performance. He had 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Was not his best, but I can live with that. Again, coming off, he's got a high ankle sprain. I don't know if anyone's ever had a high ankle sprain. It's, for like a normal human like you or me, it's excruciatingly painful. Now, they're probably doing stuff behind the scenes to make that pain go away a little bit. But man, it's really hard to walk with a high ankle sprain, let alone play a football game. I don't know. I think this is a really gutsy performance from Trevor Lawrence. 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. You don't love that. But the Browns beat the Jaguars 31-27. It was fun. It was interesting. And way to go for Joe Flacco, man. Oh, my goodness. On Sunday Night Football, Dallas beat Philly 33-13. Both teams are now 10-3. The Cowboys are 10-3. The Eagles are 10-3. And today, technically, Dallas is first right now in their division, the NFC East, which is wow. Did I not, if you asked me 3 months ago, if you asked me, I think it was week 5 when the 49ers beat the living tar. I'm trying to find the right word here. They beat the stuffing out of the Dallas Cowboys. It was awful. And that loss has been ingrained in my memory for months now. The Dallas Cowboys in my head, after that moment, I wrote them off. They have no chance at a Super Bowl. They've got a quarterback problem. They've got a coaching problem. It was a self-fulfilled prophecy where I saw what I wanted to see in the Cowboys. I've been all year skeptical about their quarterback and skeptical about their head coach. I saw that game, that blowout loss to the 49ers, and I said, yep, they are what I thought they were. But let me give credit to the Dallas Cowboys. Since that game, they've gotten better and better and better and better. And now, I think Brock Purdy should be in the conversation for MVP, but I'll be totally honest right now. I never thought these words would come out of my mouth. But this is how I try to have integrity. I try to change my mind when I'm proven wrong or when I get new evidence. I'm very flexible with my opinions, and I try to be because it's important. When you get new information, you have to change your mind. Right now, what is it, December 12th? 2023, right now after week 14, Dak Prescott to me is the NFL MVP. I know that's shocking to people. I never thought I would say that. Dak Prescott, NFL MVP, and I really believe that. The Cowboys are playing so well right now. And look where the Cowboys are now that Dak Prescott's playing really well. They got a great team around him, but the difference is Dak. When Dak is playing at the level he's playing right now, which is he's fantastic, man, doing a lot of good stuff. It's really showing the Cowboys can go from a good group of players to a Super Bowl contender. And Dallas is dominating, but the difference is their quarterback, Dak Prescott. I really want to see a rematch between the 49ers and the Cowboys in the playoffs. I think that would be an unbelievably fun NFC title game. That's what I want. It's a throwback. I think if that happens, people will probably say it's rigged. I don't even know if the bracket works out so that could happen. But I really want that to happen. I want 49ers Cowboys in the NFC title game. That would be a treat. It'd be so fun to watch that. And it would be a shame if they got wasted like on a divisional round game, which I think probably could be the 2 best teams in the NFL colliding. And I just said that. I think the Cowboys are one of the 2 best teams in football right now. Their defense is incredible. They've got star players everywhere. And Dak is playing unbelievable football. And that is why I would argue he should be NFL MVP. Look at how much better the Cowboys are now that Dak is playing at a high level. It's night and day. And I have made fun of the Cowboys my entire career talking about football, right? My entire life I've been, oh, here we go again. For probably the first time ever in my life, I'm actually sold. Hey, how about them Cowboys? This could be the year. They always say to us, this is our year. We always laugh at them. But I'm actually kind of starting to believe this actually could be the Cowboys' year, which I'm serious. I don't know how that happened to me. Am I getting suckered in? Maybe. But Dak is amazing, and the Cowboys right now look like the second best team in football behind the 49ers. And I so badly want to see them collide for a second time. I think this Cowboys team, Week 14 Cowboys team, which is night and day to what they were, I believe Week 5 is when they played last. It's a whole different Cowboys team. And I think this one could win a Super Bowl. I do want to say, though, one more time, I think the most funny outcome for the entire year would be if the Cowboys made a Super Bowl and then they lost. That would be... I'm so sorry that that's honestly how I feel. It would be hilarious. It would be so funny to watch their fan base struggle with losing a Super Bowl. I know that's dark and that's messed up, and I don't wish pain on anyone. But man, as my whole life, the Cowboys fan base has been really, really dramatic and angry and passionate and snooty and often rude. And to watch them get so close and then not quite make it, I mean, as I say that out loud, I feel bad. That's a really tough journey, but there's a little part of me, the dark part of me, that I try to push down every day. I'm like, don't be that guy. No, I would probably enjoy watching the Cowboys lose the Super Bowl. I think that would be, hilarious and messed up, but I want to see the Cleveland Browns beat the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That's my dream. That would be unbelievable. If the Browns won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, not their starting quarterback, he pulls a Kurt Warner, and the team he beats is the Dallas Cowboys, which would be just... That's my dream scenario, I think. If I can make anything happen, if I can wish for anything to play out for the NFL season, that's exactly what I want. Browns beating the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, Joe Flacco as Super Bowl MVP. That's the dream. If that can happen, I'll die happy. I'd be like, I did it. You know what? Wow. I can't believe that. Okay, I satisfied football-wise. That's everything I could ask for. By the way, Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey. Really cool story. If you don't know anything about him, he used to play professional soccer. Didn't quite work out. He decided to go pursue a career in football, kicking. And he worked his way up, man. He played in the spring leagues. The dude is super good now. And on Sunday Night Football, the Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey had 4 really long, really difficult field goals. I just think he's making the Cowboys way better. He's also a cool story. And I don't know how you can watch Brandon Aubrey, learn about his story a little bit, and not go, that dude's awesome. Way to go, man. Brandon Aubrey, well done. Dak Prescott, way to go. Dak Prescott again. My vote for NFL MVP right now, which remember, I said I would vote for in the Heisman Trophy conversation, I said Jaden Daniels. The guy I said should win the Heisman did win the Heisman. Right now, if I was voting for NFL MVP, I would say Dak Prescott. Seriously. And that's actually kind of cool to be able to say out loud, because Dak Prescott, if you know anything about him as a human, mom died of cancer. His brother took his own life. It was as a guy who, my brother took his own life. I know the pain of that journey. It never goes away. I just cried about it like an hour ago. It never stops. It never ends. And so to see a guy, Dak Prescott, who's been through the things he's been through and still seems like a genuinely good dude, to see Dak Prescott win the NFL MVP would be really heartwarming and make me very happy. I really like Dak as a human. And I've been really critical of him for years at the quarterback spot, but every accolade Dak Prescott gets this year is totally deserved. He's playing outstanding football. I think probably Dak is playing the best football of his entire life. And I'll actually go as far as say this. Dak Prescott right now, he's playing so well mentally that as he gets older, maybe he's hitting that turning point where like you're so invested in the game, you've done it for so long, it's like the back of your hand, you know it so well that now you can start toying around with different stuff. Dak has reached veteran status and might be becoming like, I'm so sorry to say this, like the way we used to view Big Ben, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, guys who've been around for so long, they're so comfortable, they know the game so well that it's just a done deal, they're going to be great. Maybe Dak is hitting the point of his career where he's like, yeah, he's that. Dak right now is the most tenured quarterback in the NFL. No quarterback has been with their team longer than Dak Prescott. I don't know. Everything good that happens to Dak Prescott this year couldn't happen to a nicer human. He seems like just a great guy, easy to root for, been through a lot of really difficult stuff in his life, tremendous loss. And so anyone who's had some really tough loss in my life is someone that I'm going to root for and really love as a human and try to give love to. And Dak doing well makes me really, really happy. Gosh, Kansas City had a game this weekend that kind of ruffled some feathers in the NFL. Here's what happened. The long and the short is this. The Kansas City Chiefs lost to Buffalo. The Bills beat Kansas City. Gosh, why my computer is freaking out. What is happening? It's like, I don't know, it's like glitching out. The Chiefs lost to Buffalo. Buffalo beat Kansas City 20-17. Now, the story of the game that we got to talk about, there was a late touchdown by Kansas City that got called back. There was a deep ball to Travis Kelce. He caught it. He lateraled across the field to Kadarius Toney, who caught it and ran for a touchdown. Would have given Kansas City a touchdown and a lead with like a little bit of time left. It was with 1:12 left in the game. That got called back because Kadarius Toney lined up offsides. He was in front of the center. And technically, that's offsides. For most people, that's enough. Technically, offsides means that, hey, it's a penalty, you can't do it. Of course, no touchdown. I'm going to try to offer nuance here. I understand every perspective here. There's a lot of anger. Chiefs fans are freaking out. We never get calls. It's not fair. Because last week there was another no-call pass interference call. I remember a really, really beneficial pass interference call that got made in the Super Bowl to help Kansas City win and beat Philadelphia last year. So, you know, you can't win a Super Bowl with a controversial call, then probably complain for a while till anyone's going to support you. Kansas City's freaking out. They're really mad. The touchdown got called back. Andy Reid said some stuff. Patrick Mahomes made comments after the game. I understand the frustration. I personally thought the offsides penalty, which technically was wrong, was also inconsequential. Like, I really hate when a call gets made to alter a game when the penalty had nothing to do. Like, he didn't get an advantage on running past anybody. Go watch the play. I encourage you. He's not open. He's not a part of the play until he gets made part of a play later by a lateral across the field to him. Like, him being offsides didn't make that play more successful or less successful. It had no impact. You can't calculate all that. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I understand that. So someone's going to hate what I say. No matter what I say here, by the way, someone's going to be mad at me. All I can tell you is the way I make sense of it, which is, hey, that sucks that call impacted the game. I encourage you, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I talk about Vegas. I talk about the refs. I talk about the mafia a little bit. I'm terrified. I really, really am struggling with the NFL in that consistently now, games are being altered with calls. Justified or not, hey, in the final 2 minutes of the game, I want the refs to be almost non-existent. I just let them play, please. Having a Super Bowl called off the board where Kansas City thought they won, and Kadarius Toney was offsides. I can't say that enough. He was actually offsides. But it didn't impact the play. And it felt tacky. It felt like a tic-tac, like we're nitpicking something to call this back. Was it a penalty? Technically, yes. But also, there's a penalty in every single play. If you watch close enough, you can literally throw a flag in every single play. I thought it was unfortunate this got called the way it did. Personally, I thought it was an awesome play. It should have been a touchdown. Kansas City should have won. They'd be 9-4. And here's why I pause. So the refs interject at the end of a game with a minute left, take a touchdown off the board for Kansas City. Justified, by the way. I can't say that enough. It was justified. Kadarius Toney was offsides. But there's a little voice in my head that doesn't trust the NFL and regularly has watched games get influenced by refs. If the game is close and you allow it to be decided by a call, it seems like in today's NFL, it will get decided by a call. Whether that benefits one side or another, I'm not really sure. It does feel like it probably has something to do with gambling. I don't trust that if you allow a game to be close, the NFL won't influence it in a little way here or there to make it better financially for them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams right now in the AFC with a 7-6 record. Pittsburgh is a number 6 seed right now. Indy's a number 7 seed right now. And then not making the playoffs, but also currently 7-6 are Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo. That little voice in my head that doesn't trust the NFL goes, it's better financially if Buffalo makes a playoff game. Are we doing little things here and there to help them? I'm not saying they are. I'm telling you, that's the question that happens in my head when I watch Sunday night, or whatever that game was on Sunday, Kansas City and Buffalo. That call gets made. The little voice in my head went, I hope that's just a call. I hope that's just how the game, I hope that's just legit. But isn't it better for football if the Bills make the number 7 seed? If I think, given, I think the top 5 in the AFC are going to be Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City, Jacksonville, and Cleveland. You got 2 more teams. I think Pittsburgh's probably good financially. I think Houston or Denver's even better because they're a cool story. And then you want Buffalo in. Josh Allen in Denver. Josh Allen in Houston. One of those 3 teams, Denver, Houston, and Buffalo, feels like if at all possible, the NFL can make it happen, they would want them in a playoff game. I don't know. This NFL rigged thing, there's no script. You're not rigging everything. But every time a game ends the way it did on Sunday between Kansas City and Buffalo, where there's a massive call that alters the end of the game, 2 weeks in a row now for Kansas City, this has happened. I go, I'm really trying to overlook it. I'm really trying to just accept that's football now. That's what happens sometimes. But is there some tomfoolery? Potentially. The 49ers beat Seattle 28-16. Seattle's season is pretty much over. They've lost 4 games in a row. They play Philly next week. Seattle is 6-7. They got 4 games left. I think at best, I don't think they're going to beat Philly this week. Philly just lost to Dallas, so I think Philly's going to bounce back and beat the tar out of Seattle. Beat the living dog blank. I need to find a better way to say it. Beat the what out of? Beat the joy, beat the happiness, beat the hope. They're going to beat the hope out of Seattle. That's what Philly's going to do to Seattle next week. At best, Seattle's going to be a 9-win football team, and it might be worse. Seattle season is totally over, and I'm calling it now. Tampa beat Atlanta 29-25. Tampa right now, with a 6-7 record, leads the NFC South. Hallelujah. Oh my goodness. First of all, they're going to have a losing record and win the division, most likely. I really want to see Tampa, again, whether it's New Orleans, Atlanta, or Tampa, whatever team wins the NFC South this year is probably going to do it with a losing record, which is horrifying and sad, but it is what it is. I do not want to see New Orleans or Atlanta be the team that wins that division. I want to see Tampa do it for a lot of reasons. If Atlanta wins the division, they might keep their coach and their quarterback, which we don't want to see that happen. So we can't see Atlanta make a playoff game. They got to make changes. We need that to happen. The Saints need to make changes as well. I don't want to see New Orleans or Atlanta make a playoff game and encourage them to stay the way they are. They need to make sweeping changes to get better as a football team. Tampa, I don't think is a team that can make a couple of changes and get way better next year. I think they're floundering. This is as good as it's going to get for a while. So if it's going to be bad, we might as well see Baker make a playoff game and have something to hang his hat on. Say, see, I did it. I think that would be cool. I think the impact of New Orleans making a playoff game and maybe feeling safe enough to keep their head coach is a problem. Same with Atlanta. And I don't think, I think there's too much wasted potential with Atlanta or New Orleans if they stay the same. I don't feel the same way with Tampa. And I like Baker. It'd be cool to see Baker have kind of a little victory and make a playoff game. Those are my thoughts. I want to see Tampa win the NFC South. Does that make sense? I think so, but let me know. The Jets beat Houston 30-6. I found this game very surprising. You will hear that CJ Stroud got injured against the Jets. He did get injured. He left the game with about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, entered concussion protocol, but the game was over when CJ Stroud left the game. And CJ Stroud left the game in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go, so he played more than 3.5 quarters of this football game. He left in concussion protocol, but CJ Stroud in 3.5 quarters was 10 for 23 passing with 91 yards. He got shut down by the Jets defense. The game was 0-0 at halftime. And Houston was losing 24-6 when CJ Stroud got hurt and left the game. So that should say a lot about how good this Jets defense is. And Zach Wilson, I thought played maybe his best game of the year. The Jets lost 5 games in a row going into this weekend. Their season is over. I could see a world where Aaron Rodgers comes back just to spite everyone who said he won't come back. Aaron Rodgers might just end of the year show back up and be like, I'm playing one final game, week 18, baby. Screw it. Got nothing to lose. He might do that. I think that could actually happen now just because playoffs or not, Aaron doesn't care. He wants to play football and I think grab headlines and impress people. But I really believe it. I think the Jets could. Like, they play their final couple games. They play at Miami, Washington, Cleveland, and New England. Is it possible that January 7th at New England, Aaron Rodgers runs out and says, I'm playing. You know what? I'm going to give you a little taste of what next year is going to look like. Could that happen? I think it could. And that would be, I think, must-watch TV. I think that sounds incredible, actually. So, I don't know. We'll see. The Ravens beat the Rams 37-31 in overtime. I got to just tell you, the final 5 minutes of this game, unbelievable. If you can find a replay, and a lot of people have apps and ways to rewatch games. If you got a way to rewatch the game, go back and watch the Ravens-Rams game from NFL Week 14, the final, half of the fourth quarter. It was crazy. The Rams took a lead. Then the Ravens took it back, and the Rams kicked the field goal to force overtime, and the Ravens won in overtime. It was back and forth and back and forth. And my takeaway here is this. Baltimore's really good. They're probably the most complete team in the AFC, which I know is surprising to people. I don't think a lot of people have paid attention to Baltimore this year. They're outstanding. They're a really good football team. Baltimore has a shot at a Super Bowl this year. They're that good. And that would be, to watch Lamar Jackson win a Super Bowl would make me very happy. I love Lamar. I think, Lamar against Dak in a Super Bowl, I wouldn't know who to root for. I love both of them so much. And that would be Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott winning a Super Bowl. Either one would make me happy. That's another dream scenario. That'd be really fun. But, so the Ravens are good. The Rams are really fun, though. The LA Rams are a team that I want to see them in a playoff game. I don't know if that's going to happen. The Rams right now they're floating around a team. They got a shot at a playoff game, but it's going to be close. It's going to be tight for them. If the playoffs started today, the Rams would be the number 8 seed at 6-7. They're one game out. They're one spot behind a playoff appearance, and I so badly want to see that happen. But you know what I really want to see happen? I want to see the LA Rams get the number 6 seed, which would make them play against Detroit, and they would play a playoff game in Detroit. All I want, man, I think it'd be amazing. Well, there's a lot of things I want. I want Joe Flacco to win a Super Bowl. I want the Cowboys to lose one. But another dream scenario for me. It would be so exciting. Matthew Stafford on the road in the playoffs against Detroit. In Detroit. Jared Goff hosting his former team, the LA Rams, and Sean McVay in a playoff game. Matthew Stafford back to his old city. You can't write. I don't know what would happen. I don't even know who I'd want to win. Probably Detroit, because that'd be cool. But man, what a story. If they met up in a playoff game. If there's NFL writers, if there are people, if it's like the WWE and there are people writing scripts and kind of making plans here, can we make that happen? Can we please? Can I be one of the writers actually too? But if we're going to manipulate games, let's use that power to make Matthew Stafford play a playoff game in Detroit for the opposing team. How fun would that be? I think that would be unbelievable and really cool. And I was hoping the Rams would win this football game. I thought they were going to. They had a lead with 5 minutes left to go. I was like, sweet. But man, the Rams, if they play a playoff game against Atlanta or Tampa or even New Orleans, they're going to win easily. The Rams are actually really good. And they've gotten better and better as the year has gone on. Final couple games for the Rams, they play Washington, the Saints, and the Giants. Those feel like 3 wins. That might be a playoff spot right there. They end the year week 18 at San Francisco, who the 49ers might be the number 1 seed in the NFC, resting their starters. So I think it's possible that the Rams win out. The Rams could win out and finish with 11 wins. Or I guess that would be 10 wins on the year. But they could have 9 and still make a playoff game. So I think the Rams are a team that they're going to give us a quality playoff game if they make it in. Much better than a team like Atlanta would give us. I really, really... Do you want to watch Nick Mullins with the Vikings make a playoff game? Or Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Sean McVay and the stars they've got going on in LA. I want to see LA make a playoff game. It'd be fun and interesting. I would watch that. I mean, I'm going to watch that, obviously, but it would be like... I would sit down with nachos and feel a sense of joy. I'd be like, this is going to be awesome. They're probably going to lose, but they're going to score and be competitive and fun. And that's what I want from a playoff game. I want entertaining and fun. I don't want to watch Atlanta get annihilated. I don't want to watch Nick Mullins, a backup quarterback, play for Minnesota. I want to see a fun, competitive team, and that's what the Rams are. And I think the Rams have a shot at a playoff spot. I'm rooting for that hard. Denver beat the Chargers 24-7 this weekend. Denver's now 7-6. The final 4 games for Denver are Detroit, at Detroit. That's a tough one. But then the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Raiders. If Denver can win on the road at Detroit this next weekend, we're looking at like an 11-win year for the Denver Broncos, who have bounced back and saved their season. Like, I think Denver might be a playoff team, which is, I don't know how far that takes them. I don't know that they do more than just make a playoff game. They probably don't win a playoff game. But how cool would that be? Remember, Denver started the year 1-5. And they have won a ton since then, man. And I think year 1 of Sean Payton, for them to be 7-6 right now, maybe finishing 10-7, 11-6, that would be really impressive and very, very cool for the Denver Broncos, who they got a shot at a playoff game, and I think Denver Broncos fans right now are very happy. They're feeling really good. If you're a Chargers fan, you just lost 24-7 to Denver, and I'm so sorry, man. The Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert, is out for the year. Got hurt, fractured a finger on his throwing hand. He's done. He's out for the year. Your coach is awful. We are entering the territory of wasting Justin Herbert's career. I am begging. I don't wish things on people that, I don't know. Here's how I will say this. I would imagine there is a long line of coaches who would love to be the head coach in LA for the Chargers, who have good ideas. They're offensive coaches who look at the talent on that roster. Veterans, sure, but a lot of talent on defense. Justin Herbert at quarterback. Great receiving core. They go, hey, I would love the opportunity to coach in LA, be the head coach there, work with Justin Herbert. And I'm terrified that the ownership group in LA for the Chargers isn't going to hire someone competent and smart and exciting. And if that happens, I'm going to just tell you, the narrative for me is going to be they're wasting the career of a generational talented quarterback, Justin Herbert. I've actually heard Jim Harbaugh's name connected to LA, which would be interesting. Jim Harbaugh coaching Justin Herbert would be fascinating and fun. But man, oh man, I am, the year is over for the Chargers. They're 5-8. Herbert's out. They're done. I am really hoping they can hire a really exciting new coach for next year. I'm not going to talk about Brandon Staley. I'm just going to say I hope the next coach of the Chargers is awesome. And I'm rooting for that a lot. New Orleans beat Carolina 28-6. I got nothing to say here. New Orleans beat Carolina. Yeah. Carolina's awful. The game was ugly. I don't care. And that happened. We acknowledged it. 2 thumbs up, and we move on. Chicago beat Detroit 28-13. This was wild and surprising to me. I did not see this coming. Jared Goff threw 2 interceptions, the Lions quarterback. The Lions are 9-4. They're fine. I'm not too worried about them. They're going to be the number 3 seed in the NFC. I don't have more to add there. That's where they are. They're very stable where they are. But we know that, like, if we get Detroit hosting the Rams in a playoff game, I think Detroit could lose. Like, Detroit is not perfect, man. They've got problems. They've got flaws. I think losing to the Bears here, Chicago, kind of further emphasizes that reality. We saw the Lions get, like, embarrassed on Thanksgiving by the Packers. So, man, man, I love what's happened to Detroit this year. They've won a lot of good games. It's been fun. It's been exciting. They're not a Super Bowl team, though. Detroit, you can't lose a game to Chicago and Green Bay in embarrassing fashion. Remember, I think it was Baltimore who just, let me look it up. I think Baltimore completely annihilated. So Baltimore beat the Lions 38-6 at one point this year. Like, that's everything you need to know about the Lions. They're awesome. It's a fun story. They're going to make a playoff game. They're going to win their division, and they're not doing much with that. They're not going to win a Super Bowl. The road is coming to an end for Detroit. I just hope you enjoyed the scenic drive. Does that make sense? On Monday Night Football, man, my nose is killing me. So when you do plumbing all day, you're like cutting into walls and doing all kinds of stuff. And I try to wear a mask, but no matter what I do when I blow my nose after work, it's just dirt and debris and drywall shavings and all kinds of stuff. And it really is annoying, no matter how hard you clean yourself and shower, you're just ingesting horrible stuff all day, and you do the best you can. We had 2 Monday Night Football games this week, which I wasn't excited about, honestly. I was like, why do we have 2 games? I don't care. But one of them was insane and wild. Tennessee beat Miami 28-27 on Monday Night Football. Miami was up 14 points with less than 3 minutes to go, and they lost the game. But it's worth pointing out, the way Miami got their lead to begin with, that big lead, late in the fourth quarter, Tennessee muffed a punt deep in their own territory. Then they fumbled deep in their own territory. Both handed Miami a touchdown. So Miami got 2 free touchdowns in the fourth quarter off of mistakes from Tennessee. So that felt weird. I didn't feel great about that anyway. But then Titans rookie quarterback Will Levis gets the ball and led 2 touchdown drives and got a 2-point conversion to take the lead, 28-27. Now, Tua and Miami actually got the ball with 1:45 left and a chance to win, and Tua could not put together a game-winning drive. But Will Levis did twice. I don't know, man. It was shocking. I'm not going to lie to you. With 3 minutes left to go, I'm like, this game is over. It's a 14-point lead. They're not going to come back. And Tennessee made it happen. And Will Levis is awesome. Will Levis, the young rookie quarterback in Tennessee, is just such a joy to watch play football. He runs hard. Like, he lowered his shoulder on a guy and was like, first of all, please don't do that. Please stay healthy, Will Levis. But second of all, how awesome was that? Oh my gosh. I was like, that's a wild run from your starting quarterback. They're 5-8. Tennessee is not great. But Will Levis, their rookie quarterback out of Kentucky, has been a pleasant surprise. Threw for over 300 yards on Monday Night Football, had a touchdown. Derrick Henry had 2 touchdowns. I don't know, man. Will Levis is... I look at this AFC South, and we have Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, and Will Levis. My goodness, we are going to be blessed with really, really fun quarterback duels for probably the next 5 to 10 years in the AFC South with all the great quarterbacks they have. What a blessing that is. That's just a joy to get to watch football, man. To know that the AFC South is going to deliver for like 5 years in a row. Regardless, they're going to have good quarterback play, and that makes me beyond happy because it's been a while since we've been able to say, hey, all 4 teams in that division have got an exciting young quarterback. How insane is that? I don't think it's ever happened in that division. So that makes me happy. Brings a little joy to my cold, sad heart. By the way, Miami, how do you lose that game? Miami's got some bad losses this year. They've lost to good teams. They lost, I would call this like a choke fest to Tennessee now. Miami is awesome. They're high powered. They score a lot of points, but I've got legitimate questions about their viability to win a Super Bowl. Like I think in a playoff game, Cleveland plays Miami. It's very likely that Cleveland wins, which is weird, but I think true at this point. And can Miami beat Dallas in a playoff game? Or I guess that would be the Super Bowl. I don't know. I like Dolphins 49ers feels like a blowout, actually. I know the Dolphins are really capable on offense, but they've got a lot of things that have happened to them, and they've done enough things have happened. I'm like, Tua had a shot in that game. 1:45 left, chance to take the lead, and didn't. And I watched Miami I know that they dropped 70 on Denver, which, woo, cool, but They got obliterated by Buffalo. They got beat pretty bad by Philly. They lost to Kansas City. The losses that Miami's got this year are all bad. Every single one of them. I mean, a loss is never good. But the way that Miami finds a way to lose games in ways that are like alarming and make you go, oh, whoa, what, really? Oh gosh, that can't happen. And every time Miami's lost a game, I've thought that. I don't know what to do with that information, but Tyreek Hill is banged up a little bit. I don't know how. Let's check on him. Tyreek Hill, questionable. Got an ankle injury. The Dolphins are very different if they don't have Tyreek Hill healthy. He is one of the more valuable people in the entire NFL. That could be a problem moving forward for the Dolphins. The second Monday night game, we already talked about it. Let's acknowledge it one more time, though. The Giants have won 3 games in a row with your boy Tommy DeVito. Doing the Italian... I don't even know. What's the word for this when you hold up your hand like, Italian? I don't... That's so dumb. I just said Italian like it's a catchphrase. Italian! What is that? I don't know. Tommy DeVito won, beat Green Bay on Monday night. We already talked about that game, but it was the other Monday night game. I had it in my notes to talk about it. We talked about it early. Let's jump in. I want to tell you about Rocket Money. How do you keep track of all your subscriptions? Can you tell me for sure how many you have and who is taking money from you each month? Have you ever had trouble canceling a subscription, or have you discovered you were being charged for something you didn't think you should be charged for? Well, Rocket Money can help you. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Plus, they'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/SOS. That's rocketmoney.com/SOS. Go to rocketmoney.com/SOS to find ways to save money, baby. We're chopping up our finances and we're slashing cuts wherever we can to save money on our budget. And Rocket Money can help you do that. rocketmoney.com/SOS. All right. Hey, Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy. I don't have much more to say about that. I think Jaden Daniels had a legendary year. Made me happy to see that. Very cool to see. Riley Leonard, the former Duke quarterback, is transferring from Duke to Notre Dame. Awesome. You love to see that. Dylan Raiola, guy who was supposed to commit to Georgia. I believe he's the number 1 quarterback in the country, is now committing to Nebraska, which... Man, Nebraska and Matt Rule was an awful NFL head coach. He's a dang good college football head coach. And the things he's saying about the transfer portal and the way he's recruiting and the way he's building Nebraska, I think that's cool. And for him to get what I think is the best quarterback in high school football committed to his program, which is expected to happen by Sunday, to get the kid to flip from Georgia to Nebraska, and say, hey, you want to be a starter as a freshman? You want to grow and learn and help us build a program? I think that's a great sales pitch. And Matt Rule, man, he was a horrible head coach in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers. But, man, he's compelling and exciting in college football, and I'm rooting for him a lot in college football. We're still waiting to see where Cam Ward's going to go. Cam Ward is the domino that I think is going to change college football. Wherever Cameron Ward goes, the former Washington State quarterback who undoubtedly is going to get a couple $1 million to go play somewhere. Probably, hopefully, Ohio State. Maybe LSU's in the mix, too. I don't know where Cameron Ward's going to go. We're waiting on that, but that does feel like the number 1 domino that's going to affect the rest of college football. All right, this weekend we've got NFL Week 15. Guess what? Thursday Night Football is going to be awful again. I was excited, actually, because I knew about this matchup early. I knew we were getting Justin Herbert on the road in Vegas playing the Raiders. That's always fun. I love games in the Raiders Stadium. I love Justin Herbert. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert's out for the year. So that game's going to kind of be nixed a little bit. You're like, well, dang. We got another battle of the backups. The Vikings play Cincinnati. Both teams are 7-6. Minnesota's going to play Nick Mullins, their backup quarterback, who I could not be less excited about. Could I be more? No, I'm not excited at all to watch Nick Mullins. I think Cincinnati's going to beat the stuffing out of Minnesota. They've got Jake Browning is playing great. Cincinnati's kind of angling towards maybe making a playoff game. 8-6, couple wins with Jake Browning. That'd be very cool. Pittsburgh plays the Colts. Both teams are 7-6. I'm rooting for the Colts hard here because I want to see Pittsburgh have a losing season. I'm really getting tired of Mike Tomlin resting on his laurels. Hasn't won a playoff game in years. Hasn't won a Super Bowl in a long time. What has Mike Tomlin done positively lately other than didn't have a losing record? Nothing, man. So let's have a losing record so we can really see what he's made of. How much does Pittsburgh really like and believe in him? Are they just saying every year, well, he never loses too bad? No, let's have him have a losing season and really challenge the beliefs of everyone in Pittsburgh. I want to see Minnesota. So I want to see Gardner Minshew and Indy beat the Steelers on Sunday. I guess that'll be Saturday. Sorry. So Saturday, Minnesota plays Cincinnati. The Steelers play at Indy. Also on Saturday is a great game, I think. Probably the primetime Saturday night game. Denver plays at Detroit, which is, that's a good game, man. Two teams that have, look, Denver needs to win. Denver wants to make a playoff game. They got to win this football game. But Detroit's lost, a couple games recently. They lost to, on Thanksgiving to Detroit. They just lost to Chicago. How does Detroit bounce back? It's a really good game. Denver at Detroit, amazing game on Saturday night. I don't know who I'm rooting for. I just think it's going to be close and exciting and very interesting. And I think they're very similar teams. That neither one has a shot at a Super Bowl. They're both trying to make a playoff game. Detroit, I don't know if they've clinched a playoff game yet, but they're going to make a playoff game for sure. And Denver, man, to go into Detroit, win a game on Saturday, it'd be huge for them. It'd be huge for their season. If Denver can beat Detroit on Saturday, there's a good shot that Denver wins the final 4 games of the year, which would be massive, massive for them. On Sunday, the Bears play at Cleveland, which I think if Cleveland is what I believe them to be, Cleveland to me has a shot at a Super Bowl if Joe Flacco plays well. I think Cleveland should utterly dominate the Chicago Bears on Sunday. If they are what I think they are, December 17th is going to be a beatdown between Cleveland and Chicago. The Buccaneers play the Packers. I'm rooting for the Buccaneers here. I want to see them win their division, make a playoff game. I hope that Packers quarterback Jordan Love, though, plays really well. That would be cool. Also, I believe that the Packers had a 6-10 record when Aaron Rodgers had his first year starting. Now, you play one more game this year, but whether they are 6-11 or 7-10, either way, I'll say same amount of wins or same amount of losses that Jordan Love had compared to Aaron Rodgers' first year as a starter. That'd be a weird, interesting story too. So I'm not in a hurry for the Packers to keep winning lots of games. I want to see Tampa win so they can clinch their division. But if Tampa wins and Jordan Love plays great, that's the perfect outcome for you boys, Zach. That would make me happy. Houston plays Tennessee. I don't know if Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud is going to play. I'm not really sure. He's in concussion protocol. It could go either way. We're just kind of waiting to find out. But if we get C.J. Stroud against Will Levis, that would be really fun. I'm excited for that. And I think I'm rooting for Houston because they've got a shot at a playoff game if they can keep winning. So I would like to see Houston beat Tennessee on Sunday, but I really just hope we get C.J. Stroud against Will Levis and not Will Levis against Davis Mills, the backup quarterback in Houston. The Jets play Miami. I want to see Miami bounce back after a really ugly loss on Monday Night Football. The Jets have a really good defense, and Tyreek Hill's banged up, may not play. That's going to be really, really fascinating, this game. How do the Jets play against Miami? How does the Jets defense look against a high-powered, very capable Dolphins offense? My gosh, here's another game I don't want to watch. Kansas City plays the Patriots. Talk about a lack of offensive weapons everywhere. The Chiefs have a terrible receiving core. The Patriots also have a terrible receiving core. God bless them. I don't want to watch this game. Kansas City, though, I think is going to win and beat the Patriots in Foxborough, I guess. Tommy DeVito plays at New Orleans. The Giants play the Saints. Can Tommy DeVito win his 4th game in a row? That's what I want to see here. That would be so exciting and cool. I don't know if that's going to happen. But what happens when we take Italy, down to the Bayou to play New Orleans? I think that's going to be fun, man. Watching him and his family, I hope, in New Orleans for that game. That sounds exciting and very cool to me. And does the DeVito family make an appearance in New Orleans? They live in Jersey near the stadium for the Giants. They do not live near New Orleans. So will they be there? Will I see lots of posts about them on social media? I'm not sure, but I'd like that. Atlanta plays at Carolina. I so badly want to see Carolina win this football game. I can't say it enough. I really do not want Atlanta to make a playoff game. I really, really, really want Atlanta to lose this game to make it more obvious they got to fire their head coach and get rid of their quarterback after this year. Maybe keep Desmond Ridder as a backup. That's fine with me. But please move off of the head coach. So you should be rooting against Atlanta, even if you're a Falcons fan, because you want them to move on and get a better head coach. Please, 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 Atlanta. Do not make a playoff game. I want to see you lose every chance you get. And it wouldn't be terrible to see Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick, maybe win his second game in the NFL. That'd be kind of cool. To see him beat Atlanta would make me very happy. The Rams are hosting Washington, the Commanders. The Rams have to win this game. I think the Rams have a shot at a playoff game. You got to take care of business against a bad Washington Commanders team. This is huge. I'm rooting for the Rams hard. I want to see them make a playoff game, and they should win comfortably against a lesser opponent, the Washington Commanders. The 49ers play at Arizona. Game feels like a beatdown. The 49ers should win easily. They're 10-3. The Cardinals are 3-10. I can't think of more opposite football teams. Not too excited about that. Dallas plays at Buffalo. Everyone's questioning whether Dallas is going to make a playoff game, or whether Buffalo is going to make a playoff game or not. Here's what I want to see here. I think the Cowboys are a potential Super Bowl team. They look really, really good. They've been awesome recently. I would really like to see Dak Prescott outshine Josh Allen in Buffalo this weekend. I want to see the Cowboys go 11-3. If they win by like 20 points, if Dallas beats Buffalo by 20 or 30 points, it would really change the way people view Dallas. And it would change the way people view Buffalo. They would go, oh, there's big problems in Buffalo, which I think we already know about, but 7-7, potentially missing a playoff game would be a wake-up call for Buffalo. And the Dallas Cowboys have a chance to make a statement here. Dak Prescott outplays Josh Allen. They win by 20. That would be a monumental statement about how good the Dallas Cowboys are on Sunday next week in Buffalo. Sunday night football is going to be really interesting. The Baltimore Ravens at the Jaguars. The Ravens are 10-3. The Jaguars are 8-5. Two teams that look like they're going to win their division. The Jaguars are down. They've got a functionally playing, but not at full strength quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. I like the Jaguars to lose here. I like the Ravens a lot to win. I know I said that weird. I think the Ravens win and beat the Jaguars on Sunday night in Jacksonville. But I think it's going to be fun to watch because it's going to be an exciting party to watching two really good football teams. They're hosting a big, meaningful game on Sunday night in Jacksonville. That's always cool to see. It hasn't happened a lot in recent years, and I just hope it's good. I hope it's fun. I hope Ravens-Jaguars delivers on Sunday night. And then on Monday Night Football, we have what I think is going to be a beatdown this week. The Eagles are going to beat the joy out of Seattle. Eagles are 10-3. They're coming off of a bad loss to Dallas. I would imagine they respond by swiftly beating the joy out of Seattle. Seattle's 6-7. Philly's 10-3. Philly's a much better team, in my opinion. And if Philly was coming off of a comfortable win, maybe I would say, hey, Seattle's got a shot. But when you beat Philly, they bounce back and respond. I think Philly's going to have a comfortable victory on Monday night over Seattle, December 18th. All right, it's time to answer questions from Patreon. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Zach Schaumler, can't even talk. It's $1 a month. You can donate more if you want to. Please do. It literally does pay my rent. But $1 a month gives you access to submit questions on Patreon. Now, if you write in, I do not guarantee to read your question on the show. My only guarantee is to look at every single question with my eyeballs and pick the top couple to read on the show. Let's start today. Gosh, I saw one that was interesting. Let's start today with Donovan. Donovan, no. There's one I really liked. Did I lose it? I think I did. I'm so bad at this. I had it all prepared, and then I lost the question I wanted to start with, which is so unfortunate. Let's see. It was from a guy writing it about Washington, and I'm so disappointed I can't find it. My goodness. I had it like queued up, ready to go. Here we go. Con writes in. Con says, hello there, Zach Attack. My Commanders are the worst team in the NFL, and they cannot do anything right. They love to get burned, they love to lose, and they love to break fans' hearts because they're scumbags who don't know football. Okay. I mean, they're a football team. I would think they know something about football. Before the Dolphins game, I was leaning towards keeping Eric Bieniemy to not mess with Sam Howell's development, but honestly, I wouldn't be upset if they don't retain him next year. Like, how do you have Terry McLaurin and only get him 0 yards? Also, Ron should go. The season is basically over, and what do we have to lose at this point? I want to see an interim coach step in and evaluate how he does. Man, the Commanders are both my favorite and least favorite team. That's interesting. So you love this team, but they're bringing you lots of pain. I want to see Eric Bieniemy as interim head coach. I'm curious what that would look like. I agree. I don't see any reason to keep Riverboat Ron Rivera. But maybe they've got a new owner who doesn't want to shake the boat too much. That's very possible. It's interesting. You wrote in, Con, about your Commanders hurting you. They didn't even play this week. Like, you found a way to talk about your team and complain about your team, even though they didn't even lose. They're about to lose horribly to the Rams this week, but interesting to me that that's how that worked. This one looks interesting. Lionart writes in and says, hey, Zach, before the English FA, which I think means, I don't know what FA means. So let's Google it. English FA. English FFA. What does that mean? Football Association. Oh, that makes sense. The English Football Association codified the rules of associated football, soccer, in 1863. There were no universally accepted rules to the sport. Many towns in the English countryside would have the entire town get together and play one massive game of soccer with 100 or more players per side. This primitive sport is now called mob football. In this hypothetical scenario, the NCAA wants to get rid of traditional college football and add a mob version of American football to its list of sanctioned sports. I am naming you head coach of the University of Hawaii's American mob football team. You have 100 players per side, and the field is way bigger to accommodate the increase in player count. What kind of offense do you run with 100 players on either side? How do you go about recruiting for this sport? I would step down immediately. That sounds awful. I mean, I guess if you're paying me good money to coach, I guess I'd find a way to do it. But man, like 100 people playing football sounds awful to me. It'd be like rugby, I think, honestly. It'd be very like ugly and laterally and weird. And I don't know. I think it would just turn into rugby and it'd be messy and ugly. And Lionart, I asked for unhinged questions. That was actually, I would call that unhinged. That was a weird one that okay. Donovan writes in. Donovan says, what's up, Big Z? My name is Donovan. I'm a Broncos fan. If I asked you this question at the beginning of November, you would have laughed in my face, but that was 6 weeks ago. Call me crazy, but I think it's safe to say the Broncos are a legit wild card contender. But is there a chance we take the division from the Chiefs? We need to win out and have them lose to a division opponent or 2 other games. What say you? No, I think Denver is a potential playoff team for sure. They might even win 11 games this year. I think very possibly. If they can beat Detroit this weekend, I think Denver could win 11 games this year and be a playoff team, which would be very cool and very exciting for them. And I find that very fascinating. Kenny writes in. Kenny says, hello, Zachariah. He says Zachariah with a Z. Z-E. Zachariah. Z-E. Whatever. I know that your main sport is football, but in the past you've talked about other sports, i.e. basketball, baseball, even F1. Do you have plans to talk about these sports after the football season is over? It might be because you're too busy with life, but I was just curious. As always, thank you, and thank you for your service to mankind. Am I offering a service to mankind by talking about football? I don't think so, but if you feel that way, great. I'm very happy with that. Let's talk about a non-football related thing. Shohei Ohtani signed a massive 10-year, $700 million contract to play baseball with the Dodgers, and here's the twist. For the next 10 years, he's only going to make $2 million a year. He has put his salary off for 10 years, and then the 10 years after that, starting at, I believe, 2034, Shohei Ohtani is going to make $68 million every year for 10 years. So why did this happen? Why is Shohei Ohtani only making $2 million a year for the next 10 years from the LA Dodgers? It's because it allows them to bring better players around him and sign better players to help them win. The Dodgers are saying, we'll pay the price for Shohei Ohtani 10 years from now, but how about while we got him on our team, we be a team that's competing for championships and has a shot to win World Series? I love that. It's creative. It's outside the box thinking. I didn't know you could even do that in baseball. And it's funny, Shohei Ohtani, I guess, liked LA enough to stay there, which makes sense. I think LA is not a short flight to Japan, where he's from, but it's not awful. I think flying from New York to Japan would be just torturous. So I think he likes being on the West Coast. He's going to be with a great team, the Dodgers, and they have a lot of money available to bring in people to help him. So I really like the Dodgers' approach here. It's sneaky. I didn't know you could do that, but what a good little move by the Dodgers. Getting Shohei Ohtani and doing it in a way that allows them to build a great team around him. Will it lead to World Series titles? I hope so. I like Shohei Ohtani a lot. I'd like to see him win. And I just thought it was a fascinating non-football story this week that made me go, oh, interesting. Okay. Kangaroo Zach. This is Balin. He says that. If anyone didn't get that, that's a play on Kangaroo Jack. Anyway, unhinged question time. You have a blue pill, a red pill, and a green pill. The blue pill makes, oh gosh, we're back to this, makes Spider Milk Bear real for 24 hours at your command. The red pill brings back one dinosaur at your choosing for 24 hours, also at your command. The green pill turns you into either one of these creatures, but you don't know which one for 24 hours, and you get to keep your human intellect and self-awareness. You can do whatever you want with either of these creatures, or as one of them, with no repercussions. What do you choose, and what do you do? Will you choose total havoc or something goofy and ridiculous? I hope this was an unhinged enough question. Balin, it is unhinged. So would I rather turn into the giant spider milk bear thing, a dinosaur? No. I could summon a spider milk bear or bring back a dinosaur of my choosing for 24 hours, or I could become one of these creatures. I would take the green pill to try to become one of the creatures. Now, I got a 50-50 shot here. Either I'm spider milk bear, which I don't really want to be, or I can be my favorite dinosaur ever, a pterodactyl. I take the green pill for a shot at being a pterodactyl for 24 hours so I could fly. I would give anything to fly around. That would be, if I could be a bird for 24 hours, I'd do it. The closest way to do that is become a pterodactyl, which at least would probably be better because then I'm safe. Like nothing can mess with me and try to kill me. Like if you're a bird, there are predators for birds. If you're a pterodactyl, there's no predator that's going to kill a pterodactyl. So I could just fly the ocean, fly to Iceland, go see everything, have a good time. I would probably travel the world for 24 hours, stay awake all 24 hours, turn back into a human, be very happy. Now, if I take the green pill and I get turned into spider milk bear, which I don't want to be, I really have no desire to do that. I'd probably just get killed by the military or something. And you can't fly around. I'd be stuck in Hawaii with nowhere to hide as a spider milk bear. That sounds awful to me. So, but to me, that's worth the risk. What would I do as spider milk bear? I'd probably just go climb a mountain and like make it into a fun little hiking trip, I guess. I'm not really sure. Can I swim? Could I swim to another island? Potentially. I would think I'm stuck in Hawaii. I'd be wherever I am. So I take the pill. I'm stuck in Honolulu probably. I do not want to be Spider Milk Bear in Honolulu. That sounds like a weird King Kong movie. That sounds awful. But I would risk that happening in order to be able to fly for 24 hours. I would really love to be a pterodactyl because I want to fly. So that's the answer to your question. Jake writes in, it's unhinged, man. It's talking about, I did a podcast with my friend Austin and I actually brought the question up. Because I was like, I actually read this question on the show with Austin. Let's read it on Strong Opinion Sports, though. Jake writes in, it's unhinged. It says, all right, Zach, you want unhinged? I'll give you unhinged. You asked for this. This is another one that has plagued my group chat, but this is an argument that has lasted for over 2 years at this point. What is the line at which you have pooed yourself? You have pooped in your pants. If you end up reading this on the show, you have to skip that word. So I'm talking about partaking in the last step of the digestive system, dropping a deuce. From here on out, I'll censor the word LOL. A couple of years ago, someone asked us, how many times a year do you blank yourself? How do you poop yourself? Two of my friends said, I don't know, like 2 or 3, and I lost my mind. Like, what? That is weird. How do you poop yourself 2 or 3 times a year? That's wild. But another one of us was with us and thinking that's the most insane thing we've ever heard. I agree. After going into more detail, it turns out they believe that when you really have to go and a tiny bit pokes its head out, then you have to pull it back in. You've pooped yourself, even if you have complete control of the poop itself. We counter by saying that you haven't pooped yourself until you've lost control of any bit of the poop coming out. If a droplet leaks out, you've pooped yourself. If the poop touches your underwear, then a tiny bit will be stuck to the underwear and you would have pooped yourself. The point at which you can't bring any of it back, you've pooped yourself. Thoughts? Just a reminder, you asked for this. I did ask for this, Jake. If poop comes out and is in your underwear, you've pooped yourself, no matter how much. You go to rip a fart and a little more poop comes out. If the smell lingers with you and it's not going to dissipate, you've pooped yourself. So any small amount, I'm on board with that. A little bit amount. But what are you eating that this happens a couple times a year? What? I can't even imagine a scenario where I would be at risk of pooping myself. I just can't. Like, what? And then what scenario are you where, like, you can't just go use a toilet? If you feel like you need to go, just go. There's bathrooms everywhere. I know America makes it tough. Like, there's not as many public bathrooms, but, like, I mean, I remember back in the day, Starbucks bathrooms were, like, amazing. I don't know. You can't find a way to go to the bathroom if you have to. This is all weird to me. But if the smell lingers with you or it comes out a little bit, you pooped yourself. I agree. Any amount is too much. But how is this happening to people 2 or 3 times a year? That's what I can't get past here. Wow. Jake Keelan writes in, oh man, I don't want to talk about, he wrote in about weapons, but the kind you shoot with little bullets. And I don't want to talk about that today. But I appreciate you writing it. There was a fun write-in about, I'll read part of the question. Keelan says, hey, Zach's Ocular Spheres. I've been listening since 2019. Love the show. And I wish I didn't give some drunk buddy my black SOS t-shirt to wear one night when he threw up in the one he brought to the party. I'd love to buy another. So he gave someone threw up all over the shirt and he gave his Strong Opinion Sports shirt to someone else and they walked off with the shirt and he's never seen the shirt ever again. That's sad, man. I don't have a way to sell you shirts anymore. If you make your own Strong Opinion Sports shirt, I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm not going to sue you. I don't care. I'd love to be able to be in a position to make shirts and sell them to you guys. I don't have that capability right now. I used to. We used to have a company. It was awesome. We don't anymore. So if you take the liberty of making your own Strong Opinion Sports shirt, I'm not going to cause you any problems. I hope if you want to wear my logo on yourself, do it. And there's ways to make custom shirts. If you can figure that out, I'll even send you the PNG for the logo if you want it. So you can do whatever you want with it. I'd love to get shirts figured out someday, but we got so many things going on. I can't do that right now. I'm just trying to get my life together. Here's a good one. Adam writes in and says, good morning, Zach. Oh, actually, we can't read this. It's a spoiler for Starfield, and I don't want to ruin Starfield for myself, so never mind. I was going to read it, and then I realized, so I'm just going to block that. I don't want to know. Nate writes in, it's long. I love you, Nate. He's asking about the Steelers and Mike Tomlin. I already talked about them a lot. I just think Mike Tomlin, well, let's read it. Nate says, hey, Zach, bear with me here. This might be a bit long, as this will probably be my Steelers therapy session. As a lifelong Steelers fan, the current situation with our team/organization has been on my mind a lot recently. This feels like the lowest point the team has been at during the Mike Tomlin tenure, with losing to 2-10 teams in a span of 4 days. The locker room honestly looks close to being as lost as Cam Hayward and Minkah Fitzpatrick have been speaking out, with both of them questioning the work ethic and effort levels of their teammates. So things are really bad in the locker room. It's probably the worst it's ever been for Mike Tomlin's tenure in Pittsburgh. Nate continues. He says, I have long defended Mike Tomlin as the Steelers and the Steelers organization, and still do to an extent. But I think that some big changes need to happen this offseason. For one, and I think most people would agree with this, the entire offensive coaching staff needs to be replaced. A staple of the Steelers organization and Mike Tomlin era has been loyalty and hiring/promoting from within the coaching staff. But they need some fresh ideas, clearly, and they need to be injected into the building on that side of the football. That'll only come from an outside hire from a modern-day system, in my opinion. I think this will help the defense as well, as the main issue for them has been injuries, which having an offense leave you on the field for the majority of most games definitely does not help with. In regards to Mike Tomlin, Nate says, I don't think the time to fire him is now, as many fans and media members are currently saying. However, I think the job security and patience that he rightfully earned during the early years of his coaching career is quickly fading. His contract is set to expire at the end of the 2024 season, and I don't think the recent play of the team warrants a contract extension. He also has not had a playoff win since 2017. If I were the owner of the Steelers, I would not give both him and Kenny Pickett next year. I would give both Kenny Pickett and Mike Tomlin a chance to prove it next year with a new offense. This would give the Steelers a reset with a new coach if they got to part ways with both. I know Mike Tomlin would most likely get a new job quickly, but it might be best for both parties, similarly to when Andy Reid and the Eagles parted ways. What are your thoughts on the current situation with the organization? Keep up the good work with the show, Nate. I see that actually, a natural moving on from Mike Tomlin. They let his contract expire. They don't fire him. They love him. They're classy. But hey, maybe if they're great next year, they do re-sign him. But I see no reason to give Mike Tomlin a contract extension. I think you see what happens next year. If it's another bad year, you just let him go and you move on and you hire a new coach. I think that's, Nate, you hit the nail on the head. You just, one more year, let's see what happens. Let's be very slow with our decision-making and not in a hurry, not forcing anything. I like that a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So, Nate, yeah, I think we might see next year be the last year of Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh unless he does amazing and wins a playoff game or does something to warrant being kept. Which, maybe him knowing he doesn't have a contract after next year might really motivate him to make changes on the offensive side of the football, too. So it's kind of a win-win there. Nate, good write-in, insightful, very long, but I thought thoughtful and really, really good. Justin writes in. Justin says, I want to apologize for my last unhinged question. Remember, he wrote about the dog dying. And I went to try to find it the other day. He was so embarrassed he deleted it. Justin, you're fine. I love you, man. You're all good. Justin says, you mentioned a liking dark humor, but I made my question too dark and unhinged without making it fun. You're okay. Hey, it's okay. Justin, I don't want to discourage you from writing in unhinged, weird questions. I like it. Please keep doing it. And you roll the dice. Sometimes you miss. Sometimes you take a chance and it doesn't work out. But I won't punish you for that. I love you. I didn't read your question to start the show. But you're okay, Justin. Keep bringing them. I like it. I like the energy. Have fun with the questions. So he says that was my B. So I'm now 2-0. I'm 0-2 with unhinged questions. Again, you're fine. Justin says, I don't want to end up like the Carolina Panthers. That's my profile picture portrays. So I'm desperate to ask a good and fun unhinged question. I thought back to my college days and remember the absolute dumbest conversation we had in philosophy class. I wanted to get your thoughts. So here is Justin's really good writing. Justin, you're worried, you're anxious. Keep writing in questions, my friend. You're all good. No worries here. Justin says, imagine a man is running around a tree. A squirrel is clinging to the opposite side of the tree and is running around the tree at exactly the same rate as the man. Is the man running around the squirrel? I would think the answer to this question is a resounding yes. But to my shock and horror, everyone said no. The man is not running around the squirrel. Zach, could you please explain to my former classmates that they are crazy for not saying that the man is in fact running around the squirrel? Thanks. So a squirrel is clinging to the opposite side of the tree and is running around the tree at exactly the same rate as the man. No, he's not running around the squirrel. The squirrel, he might not even know the squirrel is there. If he's on one side of the tree and the squirrel's on the other, it's possible he doesn't know the squirrel is there. And he's not running around the squirrel. If the squirrel's on the ground, he's running circles around the squirrel, sure. But he's running around a tree, Justin. I can't believe you're actually 0-3. I love you, man. This isn't controversial. This isn't thought-provoking. It's okay, though. Keep coming. Keep trying. Maybe the fourth try will work. But this didn't motivate. This is just like he's running around a tree, and the squirrel is also there. That's all I got, Justin. I don't find any controversy here, and that's disappointing because I thought you might have one. But keep going. Again, please keep trying. You'll get it eventually. We got a Florida State question. Let's read a question from Brett. Brett, I love you. He's going to talk about Florida State, and we'll listen to him. Brett says, hey, Zach, sad Florida State fan here. I've got a couple points about why the decision made by the college football playoff is so disappointing for the Seminoles. The committee has decided that the money matters more than the results of football games. I kind of already knew that the big TV networks control everything, but now it has been brought to the center of my attention. College football is my favorite thing in the world, and what they did to my favorite team hurts a ton. Similar to how you feel about how gambling impacted the NFL. I feel like both leagues are in a bad spot. My second point is to ask you why we are so unwatchable. As you mentioned in your podcast, if we made the playoff, our regular backup quarterback would play, not the guy who played against Louisville. Here are some stats. In our backup's lone game against University of Florida, threw for about 130 yards. In Michigan's last 4 games, J.J. McCarthy threw for an average of 124 yards. I haven't seen anyone say they aren't fun to watch, even though their offense and defensive production is about the same as Florida State's. Brett, I don't even think it came down. You're comparing them to Michigan, and that's fine. It came down to this, Brett. It was you guys or Texas and Alabama. I mean no disrespect. I would rather watch Texas play Washington and Alabama play Michigan than I would watch Florida State play in any of those games against any of those 4 teams. Why are they unwatchable? They're not. I mean, I thought they did everything in their power, and they got snubbed. It was unfair. I mean, there was no good answer. It was unfair. I don't think you can be mad at the committee. You can be mad at whoever you want, I guess, honestly. I think you should be mad at the system, which only said there's going to be 4 teams when there's 5 Power 5 conferences. So 5 teams won their conference and only 4 make it into the playoff. That's bad planning. That's bad design. If I were you, Brett, I would be mad at the system that is college football rather than at this small result of that. I don't want to tell you what to be mad at. You're in pain. I get it. Here's what I wonder. You're playing in the Orange Bowl against, Richmond says, hey, Zach, I don't know if you know how to build up this question, so I'll get right to it. And that's a big if. If Florida State beats Georgia in the Orange Bowl, do you think we'll see a split national champion? Doesn't have to be an NCAA designated consensus national champion selector picking them, as they're only 2 of 3. It could be a Mickey Mouse title like the 2017 Central Florida or the 2016 Alabama. Yes, Alabama technically has a national championship that year where they lost in the college football playoff game. Mickey Mouse championships are a fun little rabbit hole. If Florida State goes 14-0 and beats Georgia, which they might, because I think Georgia's going to have a lot of guys sitting out of this bowl game. Florida State's motivated to win. I think that, the Orange Bowl is really fascinating. Georgia, Florida State. And if Florida State does win, they go 14-0 to finish the year. I will have no problem with anyone that's a Florida State fan saying, we won our national title. We did it ourselves. We beat Georgia. We're the best team in the country. If you go 14-0, I guess would it be 15-0? I think they played 14 games. I don't care. I don't want to know. 13-0, 14-0, whatever it is. If they win every game this year and beat Georgia at the end of the year, bowl game or not, starters in or not, I don't care. I will never, ever push back against a Florida State fan who says they won the 2023 national title. I'll go, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I got no problem with that. I think that's all we got for today. I love you guys. Here's a... No, I think we're good. We had a question about officiating. I feel like I talk about officiating way too much already. I think... Here's one from Misael. We'll read this. He says, hey, Zach, following up on the Cardinals question from the past episode. If the Cardinals didn't play Kyler Murray even though he was healthy, why wouldn't the league punish the Cardinals by taking away their high draft pick? The NFL and NBA are infamous in Arizona for punishing our small market teams for things other teams have gotten a slap on the wrist for. Not playing Kyler Murray would surely result in the loss of a high draft pick, first or second round. Also, he's the only reason to keep watching these games. If we finish 2-2 in the final 4 games, I'd consider that a building block for the next year. It establishes Kyler as a leader he needs to be on this team. So, Misael, I hear you. And I understand the risk, not wanting to risk punishment by not playing Kyler Murray. But I think Kyler Murray coming back from a torn ACL, you could shut him down. If Kyler Murray played ball with the Cardinals and they didn't want to play him, they could have said, well, he's not fully healthy. We're going to shut him down. And that's what happened to, there's a lot of quarterbacks who've done that this year where I wonder about Cam Rising, the quarterback at Utah, who was coming back from a torn ACL, ended up shutting it down mid-season. He might have been able to come back for the final game of the year, but what would have been the point? Because you want to save your eligibility for next year. You could have got away with not playing Kyler Murray, I think, but whatever. I don't have any problem with that. And I like the idea of bringing Kyler Murray back at the end of the year, building cohesion, building a foundation and a culture for next year. That makes sense to me. And so, yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that's a good argument and makes total sense to me. Jake says, less unhinged. You keep mentioning places Bill Belichick could go. I would just like to mention he has serious ties to one of the best defenses in the league, the Browns. From 91 to 95, he was their head coach. Now, yes, I know it's not technically the same Browns as that team is now the Ravens, but still, just something I wanted to throw out there. Is there any chance we could see Bill Belichick coaching Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith? I mean, how cool would that be? That'd be cool, but I want to see him coaching in L.A. with the Chargers. Keep Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator in L.A., have Bill Belichick coaching Justin Herbert and a really talented group on offense. And then imagine Bill Belichick coaching Khalil Mack and, gosh, Joey Bosa. Like, how fun would that be? You know, I think he would love that. They've got a really fun group on the defensive line in L.A. with the Chargers. Bill Belichick would fit in right there with them. You have Kellen Moore running the offense. I think that's a great idea. Bill Belichick is probably going to keep his job in New England, probably going to draft Caleb Williams, but I would love to see Bill Belichick in L.A. coaching the Chargers. Let's end the show today by talking about fantasy football. Guys, I lost. 114 to 89. My season in fantasy football is over. I will spare you the details. Doesn't matter. He had Baker Mayfield. I had Brock Purdy, Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't want to get into details of how I lost. I lost. It was bad. He had Brandon Aubrey, who had 22 points, a great kicking day. He had Brandon Ayuk, had 16 points. And my team didn't have their best day. Just that's the reality. And I should have started Hunter Henry on Thursday Night Football, who had 19 points, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 40 yards. I didn't. My season's over in fantasy football. I made a lot of mistakes. I drafted Deshaun Watson, terrible move. I drafted Odell Beckham Jr., didn't work. I drafted Jahmyr Gibbs early and Calvin Ridley early. I thought Calvin Ridley was going to have a better year than he has. I thought Jahmyr Gibbs was going to make an impact way sooner than he did. I lost a lot of games early on because of my decision-making and my drafting. It's always painful when you make mistakes and have to live with them, but that's what I have to do. So my team will not make the playoffs in the Fantasy Football League. My team finishes at 11th, 7-7. So I miss a playoff game, and my year is over in fantasy football. Doesn't matter. You know, it's my first ever time doing fantasy football. I had a fun time. We had 16 people in the league. It was a great experience. And I think my favorite memory and my favorite experience I've gotten from this fantasy football league is the friends I've made and the people I've become buddies with. You know, in our group chat and our fantasy league, we got 15 people other than me in this league. That's a lot of people. And they're all cool. They're all fun. It's been cool to get to know them. I really enjoyed it. And I would say, if I'd picked a different quarterback, maybe I'd made a better pick early on. I would have drafted Nick Chubb, and that would have cost me anyway. So hindsight 2020, I'll draft better next year. And, I didn't make a playoff game. So my season in fantasy football is over. 7-7. Could have been worse. Could have been better for sure. And we'll do better next year. I have got a better idea what I'm doing now, and I know running back is very valuable. Running back and a stable quarterback basically is everything. So, I overdrafted tight ends, overdrafted defense, drafted players that were more risky that didn't work out. Calvin Ridley, OBJ, who I cut early on, Jahmyr Gibbs, Deshaun Watson, made a lot of mistakes. But for all the mistakes I made to end up 7-7 with, a totally different team than I started with, Brock Purdy at quarterback and Zach Moss, Kareem Hunt. Like, I made a lot of moves throughout the year to try to keep my team afloat and make them survive. And they didn't all work, but I did the best I could. And I think my best move by far was drafting Nico Collins. I got him late in the draft. He was a steal, and he did great all year for me. Put up a lot of points, and 27 week 2, 35 week 4. A lot of great days. He had 34 points week 13 against Denver. Nico Collins was a steal for me that I drafted late in the draft. So learned a lot, had a lot of fun. I love you guys that I play fantasy football with. You know who you are, and that's all I have for today, guys. I love you. It was tough for me today. I had a really bad day. And some days, when you give everything you have, and that's all you got, you did the best you could. I feel like today was me just doing the very best I could to put everything out there that I could. And I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'm about to make a lot of changes in my life. I'm already making lots of changes, but I'm heading towards lots of changes in my life that I think are going to be good for me, that I'm excited about. Going to make this show better, going to make my life better. And I am trying to, in the meantime, enjoy everything I can. Guys, I love you. Song of the week this week is Drink Water by John Batiste, featuring John Bellion, my favorite ever. Another honorable mention is Stay Anything by Chelsea Cutler. Drink Water by John Batiste. Take a deep breath, drink water. It's awesome. I love it. And then Stay Anything. Not Say, but Stay Anything by Chelsea Cutler. Funny, my favorite podcast episode, I listen to a show called Sacred Symbols about video games. The episode was called Say Anything, and my favorite song this week is Stay Anything. But Stay Anything makes me sad. So listen to Drink Water by John Batiste. That's been the song that's been making me happy this week when I'm really struggling and sad. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Hope you have a great day. And fam, we are